Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the 26th session of the UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, the COP26, which is taking place in Glasgow, Scotland, and it witnessed the participation of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Now, we are focusing on the issue of climate change, an issue that has been going on for decades now. Egypt has exerted a lot of efforts, governmental efforts, to really try and curb the carbon emissions and play its part in combating climate change. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about Egypt's keenness to host the next COP27 next year. But before we start doing that tonight, let's check out some of the stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who returned home on Tuesday after participating in the UN Climate Summit COP26. Ahead of his return, President el-Sisi met with President of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons, Professor Jackie Taylor. During the meeting, el-Sisi stressed that Egypt pays special attention to the development of the educational and scientific sectors with all their phases, as well as developing the medical sector through partnerships with the international institutions, including the British ones. The President praised the cooperation protocol with the Royal College as one of the most important bilateral cooperation projects between the two countries, which opens the horizons for boosting cooperation by spreading the experiment among all the British universities and research institutions. This cooperation would allow the establishment of a branch of the college in Cairo, as well as training physicians in accordance with the highest international standards and increasing the scholarships offered to Egyptian students. And earlier, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi stressed Egypt's support to the British presidency of the Climate Summit and its confidence that the summit would come up with tangible and balanced results that would be in favor of all parties. President el-Sisi also highlighted Egypt's keenness to host the 27th round of the Parties Conference in 2022 after the end of the British presidency. This came during President el-Sisi's meeting with the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on the sidelines of the Glasgow Climate Summit. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Rodi said that the meeting tackled bilateral talks as the British Premier welcomed the visit by President el-Sisi to Glasgow and expressed his appreciation to the strong ties binding Egypt and Britain and the momentum witnessed by those ties. Rodi added that Johnson had stressed that Egypt is considered the most important partner for Britain in the Middle East and expressed his hopes to enhance those ties in all fields. Rodi noted that Johnson expressed his admiration of the achievements and the development efforts Egypt is carrying out, stressing Britain's support to those efforts under the leadership of President el-Sisi. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi resumed his activities for the second day on the sidelines of the COP26 Climate Summit in Glasgow, Scotland, and earlier on Tuesday, President el-Sisi stops this morning in front of his residence to exchange greetings with citizens of the Egyptian community in Scotland. Now, these were a few stories making the news today, and the COP26, the UN Climate Summit, is actually aiming to achieve a 1.5 degrees Celsius of a result. And also, Egypt has made it very clear that it is keen to host the COP27 summit next year, 2022. Let's check out this report, and we'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participates in the UN Climate Change Conference COP26 in Glasgow. In his speech at the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi called for an urgent climate action to achieve the goal of limiting global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius, voicing Egypt's keenness to host the next UN Climate Change Conference COP27 in 2022. The president said that Egypt has initiated serious steps to apply a sustainable development model, at the heart of which lies climate change and adaptation to climate change. This model aims for the government green-funded green projects to reach 50% by 2025 and 100% by 2030. For example, sources of renewable energy represent today about 20% of the energy mix in Egypt. Sisi highlighted that Egypt is also working towards a transition to clean transportation by expanding the metro rail and electric vehicle networks, preparing the necessary infrastructure for that, and establishing smart and sustainable cities. This is in addition to the implementation of projects to rationalize water consumption, canal linings, and the integrated management of coastal areas. To place these efforts within their institutional framework, Egypt has completed the preparation of a national strategy for climate change 2050, which will open the way for Egypt to update its nationally determined contributions so that the policies, objectives and measures encompassed in these contributions become integral to the state's development efforts and its endeavors to recover from the repercussions of COVID-19. The president also raised Egypt's concerns about the gap between the available funding and the actual needs of developing countries, as well as the obstacles that countries face to have access to it. Therefore, the developed countries must fulfill their pledges to provide $100 billion annually to fund climate change across developing countries.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio to shed more light on the climate issue by Engineer Haitham Kafrawy, the Teaching Assistant of Structural Analysis. Engineer Kafrawy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's all good.
Now, sir, first of all, a lot of people understand how the climate change issue is a big issue facing not just Egypt but the whole world.
Yes.
But maybe people don't understand how much of an existential issue it is for the survival of the human race, as dramatic as it may sound, but
yes.
it is.
Yes, it is.
Now, Egypt has been exerting a lot of efforts, and you were just telling me how Egypt has really stepped forward since 2015 and really took bold and serious steps to combat climate change.
Yes.
Now, before we start talking about the Egyptian efforts, how would you rate the importance of having such the summit, the 26th session of the UN Climate Summit, the COP26 in Glasgow? Over the last summer, we've seen floods, we've seen volcanoes, we've seen forest fires, we've seen many natural disasters hitting the whole world. How significant and important and critical is this summit taking place now?
Lately, all the leaders in the world, they are trying to reach a new era to gain the environment, what we can call to succeed again in gaining the environment to be a friend. So when you live in an environment, you have to obey the laws. Laws should be obeyed. We didn't do this for the last decade. So what happened is the climate change is a huge phenomenal disaster that we're going to face. So the thing is, in 2010, researchers found out that we have a change in the main sea level. So the root cause of this change in the mean sea level was the climate change. And especially after this was a problem that caused due to the manufactures that we did in the last centuries. So the problem occurred and happened due to the root cause of the development of the people to find their existence. And this is the hilarious thing in the problem, is that you're fighting for your existence by manufacturing and increasing your production rate, and you found out that you're going to face a huge problem, is the climate change problem. So what happened is, we set the problem, we as human beings set the problem, and we found out that we have to stand together because this is the new war, the war of existence of human beings. So you would like to increase your production rate, you would like to increase your levels of your life, you would like to ensure that your children are going to have a better life than you did. This is all your right, but you have to preserve the environment that you're living in. So what happened is, they set the problems that happened the last 10 years, only 10 years, and they found out that the sea level have changed, the land percentages have decreased, the water resources have decreased, the production rate have decreased. So the problem is, we have to find a solution, and a fast solution for us, just to preserve our human being on this planet. So what we are going to do is, all the leaders are going to stand as one human being, just for our existence, and we have to find a sustainable solution that won't affect our development at the same time. So, for example, we do develop our cars, and we do have the EV cars now, the electric cars.
Yes.
So they set this example at the COP26. I'm not going to find a sustainable solution for the cars. I'm going to find a sustainable solution for the transportation. I'm going to cancel the idea of the cars. Is there any ideas, other ideas, that will facilitate the transportation and decrease the emissions of carbon dioxide, especially the carbon dioxide? We do have a lot of greenhouse gases at the same time, but the carbon dioxide is one of the root cause. I want to decrease with the 45%, just to reach to the 1.5 degrees centigrade.
Yes.
So,
well, Engineer Kafrawy, now Egypt has, it started with a lot of efforts carried out by the government. One of them was the establishment of the National Council for Climate Change. And it really made a lot of efforts in regards of all the things you've mentioned, such as transportation, trying to cut down on the use of the traditional forms of energy, going for electrical generated cars, for instance. We established the three biggest electrical power plants in the world quite recently, focused a lot on solar energy and renewable energy as well. Now, we are aiming to really perform on the highest international level in terms of combating climate change.
Yes.
Now, with the establishment of this council, the National Council for Climate Change, and the governmental efforts, how do we compare to the rest of the world in terms of efforts and measures taken to really combat the climate change?
So I would relate for your question with the answer that the UN said in the COP26. So they found out that they are going to initiate a new global hub. This global hub has the aims that Egypt has in its sustainable strategy of 2030. And this was how Egypt and the leadership think. They are thinking that we should relate our strategy with the world strategy, with the UN strategy, with the old world strategy, because we're living in a world, as His Excellency said, President Sisi, that we're living in the planet. We have to live all together, and we have to find a place for all of us to stay. So this hub found out that all researchers, governments, scientists, human beings, every single person on the planet can participate in it. And all the ideas can be in it. And this idea, this hub that the UN initiated is fully compatible with our sustainable goals in the 2030 strategy. So what we are going to do is that I would like to say that Boris Johnson also said that His Excellency President Sisi did a lot of projects respecting the environment, as the electric plants that we did last 10 years. The thing is, the emissions in Egypt decreases with the percentage of 20%, and this is a huge decrease. This is due to the projects that we did last 10 years. This is due to the ideas and the sustainable development that we said that we're going to do at the very beginning, and we are going to relate to it with the UN, and we did the last 10 years. That's it.
Well, Engineer Kafrawy, in his speech yesterday, President Sisi said that the Egyptian efforts are really based on two main pillars. The first one is reducing the gas emissions. And as you've mentioned, resorting to renewable and solar energy, forestation, recycling, all of these things. And we understand that. The second pillar was actually the adaptation of the country and the society to the rising temperatures and global warming. Now, what does it mean, the adaptation? How do we adapt to the rising temperatures and global warming?
Change our mindset. That's it. The president always said this before. If you would like to live in a friendly environment, you have to change your mindset. You have to think friendly with it, and you have to obey the laws. You have to respect the environment that you're living in. So we're changing our mindset to be more productive. We're changing our mindset to be more green. Our production and our emissions have decreased due to the strict laws that we did last 10 years, and due to the innovations that we did at the other side. The innovations of the engineers, the innovations of the scientists, and giving the research centers their strength to find other solutions, other new solutions and innovative solutions for the engineers and the productive areas as manufacturers or etc. to increase the production, at the same time respect the environment. So you would like to reach the successful path. You would like to reach the optimization path. You would like to have the inflection point. With all due respect, you have to change your mindset. It all begins with the scientific thinking. So what happened is that the leadership and the political leadership, they studied the whole last decade and last era, if we can say, and they found out that the defects was that there is no, we are derelating the people from the leadership, but we have to make it one. We are all in the same. We have to work as a team. We are all in the same ship, so we have to work as a team. The leader should carry his responsibility, and the people at the same time should carry their responsibilities. So the thing is, the leader said that the job description of the people to carry the responsibilities is just to change the mindset, and this will affect all the environment that you're living in, all the production that you're living in. We do have the projects increasing every day by day, and the innovations of the even if you don't feel it, but this is true. You can see that every single place in Egypt, in Cairo, in other cities, it's innovating with a huge percentage.
Yes.
This is due to the change of the mindset. To go back to your question and answer it simply, changing the mindset of the people is the reason why, is the root cause why we decrease the emissions of the carbon dioxide, is the root cause why we are succeeding in the sustainable development strategy. The thing is, we do have an aim. The aim is to reach the inflection point in 10 years, to change the economical overview of Egypt from the losses to be at the 0 point. And the vision is to reach the big 20 after 2030. This is great. How are we going to do this? The mission is the people. How to reach the people to do their job description is to change the mindset. That's it. Yes. So we reached this, and we do succeed with a high percentage. I can say the high percent we did it, but we did it with the high percentage. And this was, from my opinion, this was the main reason why we succeeded in decreasing the carbon emissions.
Well, the president actually mentioned in his speech yesterday, and he mentioned it before quite a few times, that Africa, the African continent, is only responsible for about 3% of the gas emissions, and yet it's paying probably one of the biggest prices on Earth for global warming. Now, you've mentioned that this whole process, other than changing the mindset of the people, but it also needs scientific research, and it needs these new cities, and we've been building new cities, smart cities, with having in mind the sustainable development, eco-friendly cities, and all of this.
Yes.
Now, the international community pledged $100 billion to combat climate change. Annually.
Yes.
Which is a lot of money.
Yes.
And it has not been still paid or allocated for the developing countries. Now, in all the conferences, all leaders they can make a lot of pledges and promises, but sometimes when it comes to financing and paying the money, people come short.
Yes.
And we understand that there was a pandemic over the past year and a half or so. However, how can we actually maintain the improvement or the progress that Egypt has undertaken, as you've mentioned? How can we legally at least bind the international community and the developed countries to allocate $100 billion annually, and for Africa to get its share of this money to really have some tangible progress, not just in Egypt, but throughout the African continent?
I would like to tell you something, that the $100 billion should not be money only. It can be researchers coming here to Africa as a developed continent to invest in the people. It can be any product that can come and change it can be cars, can be trains, can be electric trains, can be whatever, and also can be money. So just to state this, because they didn't say that it's going to be $100 billion, so
cash,
we're going to take it cash, because this is very important. The second thing is, I would like to take a step back. I said that all the leaders are standing in one place. All the leaders are standing in the one human being, just to face the problem that we did and to solve the problem that we made to the environment, and now we are searching for our existence, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what happened. The countries that have the science and have the money, they have no choice, no other choice, except to give the money and the science for the people that they don't have the money and the science to make it on the same page. So this is the main reason why the leaders, all the leaders now, they are wearing the same hat, they are on the same shoes, they are on the same page. Okay, you don't have the money, I have to pay for it because this is my existence. I have to respect my existence because you do have a share, even if it was a small share in this disaster. But you do have, you have to do your part, and I have to help you to do your part. But what, with all due respect to your question, I'm going to get back to it, but what I realized when I saw the COP26 is that Egypt is in a whole other place. We are we are from the countries that we can make our own decision really in a summit like this. This was great. And this is the political side of the COP. When you see and analyze the cause and effect of the COP, you found out that, okay, President Sisi, in his speech, he said 3 or 4 aims. 3 of them was the main aims from the hub that we did. It is an Egyptian idea.
Yes.
So the president said we would like to have this hub, a place that we can all share, and this will remind you of something. This hub is the same idea that we do every year with youth.
Yes.
And with the people, and with the Ask the President. Yes. The same thing is, you would like to think out of the box. Okay, this is my playground. Come to Egypt and we're going to tell you the solution. And this is what happened. And this was the main glory I had from seeing the COP26. And going back to your question, because this one of this, we should state this.
Yes.
Okay, because this is one of the things that we had, we should state. Egypt now is in another political place. So, relating back to your question is, the solution that the UN gave the hub to reduce and to set that we have to change to reduce to the 45% and the 1.5 degrees and the $100 billion to is all this is a part of the strategy. These are the missions. I would like also to every time I would like to state the problem and the strategy of the solution. And the mission, because this is very, very important, of the solution. Okay, the problem, the statement of the problem, we do have a climate change problem, okay? And we need to solve it. We're going to solve it with the countries.
Yes.
All of us. There's no walls between us, no more.
Yes.
We are fighting for our existence. Everybody's standing on the same page, everybody's standing on the same shoes. Okay, how to solve this? We have to see that we all have the global economy. It's not a country economy, it's not the European economy, it's not the African economy. So Africa, you do have a problem with 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to solve it from the American, from the European, from the Australian, from the Asian continent.
Yes.
And
yes, well, I will get back to that, and especially as well about the role that Egypt is playing and how proud Egyptians are for their participation in this way. But I want to ask a question now. For the UN Climate Change Summit, they had a very ambitious goal of reaching, having a reduction of 50% by 2025 and a net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Yes.
How realistic and feasible is this? Because that's in 30 years' time.
I guess it is realistic and feasible with a great percentage. The thing is, computers are changing to quantum computers. Cars are changing to electrical cars. Transportation are changing, and at the same time reducing the usage of the people to their emissions to be as possible to be a group of people in a single emission as the trains or the planes, or because the transportations and the manufacturers at the same time are the main reason, the root cause of the problem. So when you see this, we're changing the whole technology to a whole other revolution. We are in this revolution. We are witnessing this revolution. It's the same as the mid-centuries of the 12th century's revolution and as the 19th century's revolution of the manufacturers in Germany. It's the same.
Yes.
Now the computers are changing to quantum computers. You can solve billions of problems in seconds. And cars, I guess in the next 10 years, there won't be cars using gases anymore.
Yes.
There won't be emissions. This is 50% of the problem solved.
Yes.
The transportation in 10 years. Okay. And the manufacturers, innovations in the filters, the emissions on the manufacturers, innovations in the production factories, in every single plant that we do have. When I say we are the world.
Yes.
As Michael Jackson said, and at the same time, we do have the problem and the root cause, the third root cause, which is our wastes. Now we do have a waste management, and we can solve. And Egypt has its waste management strategy, but the world do have the waste management strategy. Can you see that? I guess in 30 years we can reach the 80%. But they said the 50 years, because there are some things. This is why we do have the $100 billion.
Yes.
Not only cash. Just to be on the same page with them, just to be all sustainable with them, and to exchange the the expertise.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, COP26 and Egypt's participation in it is not only seen as an integral summit dealing with a question of survival of the human race on Earth, but it is seen as a responsibility and an opportunity for all citizens of the world, including the Egyptians. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
The 26th session of the UN Climate Change Conference, or COP26, for the heads of states and government is taking place between the 31st of October and the 12th of November of this year. Egypt participates in the 26th UN Climate Change Conference for the heads of states and governments, coming in light of the significant role that Egypt played both regionally and internationally within the framework of climate change negotiations. In a year's time, Egypt will host the 27th session in Sharm el-Sheikh. No doubt, it is an opportunity and responsibility combined. The COP is the decision-making body responsible for monitoring and implementing the United Nations framework on climate change. It unites the 197 nations involved, and it meets yearly to discuss implementations accrued and assess the progress made. During the conference, countries report back on how much emission reduction each has committed to, with hopes of limiting and mitigating greenhouse emissions towards the ambitious net zero by 2050. Many of the COP conferences were milestones in themselves. The first COP conference was held in Berlin in 1995. The Kyoto Protocol was signed in Kyoto, Japan, in COP3 in 1997. And the first international climate agreement, the Paris Agreement, was signed in the COP21 in Paris of 2015. The Paris Agreement established a legal and binding obligation where countries and their governments agreed to work to heat the world's average temperature below rising to 2 degrees Celsius, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and report back every 5 years. The first 5 years came up in November of 2020 due to COVID-19. It was postponed to November 2021. COP26 comes at a vital juncture in history after a summer of scorching, unparalleled heat, catastrophic floods, and devastating wildfires. As far as the location of the conference is concerned, it is rotated amongst the different regions every year. The country chosen takes over the presidency of the conference and hosts the conference. And it is Egypt's time to shine as the host of COP27 in 2022.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Engineer Kafrawy. Now, sir, you've spoken about the role Egypt is playing now.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about the political weight that Egypt has now in the international community, the pivotal role it plays in dealing with all of the crises and issues around the globe. And it's really manifested in the COP26. I mean, Egypt was chairman and the president of the African Union in 2019, yet 2 or 3 years later, we're still basically the main advocates for the African continent.
Yes.
How big of not just a role but a mention and a notice is the international community now taking Egypt, not just with the participation in the climate summit, but as a global superpower, if we may say?
The answer is when you like to estimate a president, you have to estimate the whole country, the people, and how he's dealing with them, and the development that happened in a certain time when he started ruling the country. The thing is, in all countries in the world, and I'm not saying this because I'm Egyptian, you won't find a president made this development with all the pros and cons that anybody can say, with all due respect, just to change the economy from a revolutionary economy to a sustainable economy in just 7 years. This is a huge success. And the success is the success of the people and the love of the people to the country and to the president. So when the president attend any summit, any conference, he's speaking with 100 million human being, Egyptian human being, with their strength, with their support, and with their science, and with their success and development all over 7 years. Things that won't happen in the whole Middle Eastern area and the whole African area for more than 50 years, and I guarantee and I can bet for it also. So, when you stand like this, in this situation, in his place, with 100 million heart standing with you and supporting you, and you do have the science, and you do have the power, then you're the leader. You have the personality of being a high political leader. You have the heart that you can take the decision and the people are going to stand beside you. And you have the science that are going to plan for the next step. And you're going to reach it with a high successful and high percentage of success. And at the same time, just not to forget the teamwork of the political leadership itself. All these aspects, we can say, these are the main aspects of success, any success in the world. So we do have a strength, a political strength. Yes, we do have it. Why? Because of we, Egyptians, did our best. We, Egyptians, are still doing our best, and we are increasing and pushing ourselves to the limits, changing our mindset, pushing the production rate to increase, loving our country, and at the same time, we're standing beside our president, and he said this before, if you would like to be great, you have to be great. If you would like me to be great, you have to be great. If you want Egypt to be great, you have to be great. So, from here, yes, we do have the reason why we are great on the political, and this is the first main reason for me, for the people just to understand.
Yes.
The scientific reason is that we did a strategy. 10 years before, we were working with the management crisis plans. So we do have a problem. When the problem emerges and become a disaster, the government is going to find a solution, and the solution should be very, very fast, and we're going to solve only this problem and then get out of it and then watch and learn. Okay, is there anything else? And what happened after 2013 is, no, we're not going to be a management crisis government anymore. We're going to be a strategic, sustainable, developing government. And we should have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have to set the problem. What is the problem? This is science, okay?
Yes.
The problem is, we do have a problem in economy, in education, in traffic, in transportation, in developing our country in infrastructure. This was in 2014, okay. We do have a time frame? Yes. We do have the people? Yes. We do have the money? No. So we're going to find a solution for it? Yes. The team, we're ready. Are you ready, Egyptian people? Yes, we are. Okay, let's start. Time frame, 10 years. Success, 100%. You're going to be, and you're searching for a strength in the political side.
And even the World Bank has actually, a year ago, in October 2020, has allocated $200 million for Egypt to start developing projects to combat climate change. So
you don't need this anymore.
Yes, and
let me say, we don't need it anymore.
But the point is about the support and the nod of approval of the international institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank of that we're actually working on.
They are investing their money here, by the way, they are investing their money. They cannot find any country more safe and more developing than Egypt, so they are putting their money. They cannot put it anywhere else. After the pandemic, nobody is investing the money except in Egypt. The Middle Eastern area is all 100% rough. Only Egypt is developing.
Yes.
So if you said the World Bank is going to put the money, they are not.
What would it mean for Egypt to actually host the COP27 summit next year? I mean, the president has been really offering to host the summit next year. What would it mean for the Egyptians?
They have the honor to come to Egypt. The thing is, this is a confession from them that we are one of the aspects of success of this COP and this idea. This means that all the governments are coping under one of the leaders of the world, and going to be under his umbrella and going to be under his ideas. And this message is not only hidden, it's 100% true. And it's like when you have a problem and one of them had the solution, so you have to watch and learn. I guess this is one of the aspects that give the people this idea. Okay, the president had the solution, and next time we're going to invite you to Sharm el-Sheikh. And on the other side, the Egyptian side, this is the political side. On the Egyptian side, let's see the innovations in the monuments, innovation in Aswan, innovation in Sharm el-Sheikh, and you're going to invite the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. You're sending a message to the whole world that we're safe, we're sound, we're developing, we are in our best strength, and we are inviting you just to watch our innovations, our development in Egypt the last 10 years. And at the same time, investors, you are welcome. And this is the ideas that it's all related to each other. Politics is related to economics. So the leader is giving the idea that, okay, we do have the security, we do have the money, and we do have the strength to so come and invest.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely it is an issue, an existential issue for the human race, not just for Egypt, but as Engineer Kafrawy mentioned, the strategy that Egypt is following is actually calls for a lot of optimism and really looking forward to the solutions the government and the country is providing to combat such an a very critical issue. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Engineer Haitham Kafrawy, the Teacher Assistant of Structural Analysis. Engineer Kafrawy, it was a pleasure having you with us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Al International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.